Well, happy Saturday afternoon to you, my friends. Thank you for joining me for another Saturday afternoon with Saturday Afternoon Inspirations. I'm Dr. Preston Winfrey, and I am so delighted to have you to join me this afternoon. How on today are you doing? Here in our area, we've got great weather. It's been a great day. It's been a busy day, like most days. But you know what? I have a consistent testimony. I'm clothed in my right mind. I have a reasonable portion of health and strength. I have the activity of my limbs. Thank the Lord. I'm able to bat my eyes and wash them and all those kind of things. And so I'm aware of what's going on around me. And I am so grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for life. With all of the challenges that come our way, that come my way. All of the things that I have to do. Some things I wish I didn't have to do. But life is about choices, isn't it? I have to make those choices. Some choices are good choices to make, and then some of those choices you make, you just don't want to make them, right? You have some of those, don't you? I'm sure you do. You wish that you can just kind of close your eyes and blink them away, and they'll go away, and everything will move smoothly. Don't you at times wish that someone else could just make some decisions for you and it will all turn out for your good? You know, maybe sometimes it will, but then other times it may not. It's almost like, have you ever hurt yourself, cut yourself or something other? Of course, accidentally, and you broke your flesh and you needed to put something on it other than a Band-Aid, something like maybe some Curacone or some something. Alcohol, whatever you put on to kind of clean it out, sanitize it, sterilize it rather, and then maybe if it's necessary, then you can put a bandage on there or Band-Aid. But you ever notice if someone else applies that anesthetic to you, it just seems like it stings more than it does when you do it yourself. And sometimes making those decisions for yourself, if someone else makes the decisions and you feel it in not so good a way, you don't feel so good about that person, do you? So there are times when we have to make decisions for ourselves that no one else can make. And that's one of the things of getting older and growing into maturity. When you're young, you made decisions. I used to tell my children that when you're young, I'll make the decisions for you. I'll tell you which way to go. What they didn't know was I was saying, that's going to be my bill. It's my will, it's going to be my bill. I said, but as you age, as you get older, I'm going to talk less. And you're going to be responsible for making those important decisions for yourself. And here we are years later, they still remember that, and they, of course, they had to make decisions for themselves. And also they had to live with the decisions that they made. Well, today I want to ask this question. Do you know when to lighten your load? Do you know when to lighten your load? What are some of the causes for being sluggish? Have you ever stopped to consider those times when you are just so sluggish? Look like your get up and go has gotten up and left, and you're still there, you're trying to catch up. Have you ever said to yourself, boy, it's just not enough hours in a day? Well, you and I know that everyone gets 24 hours a day, so there's more than enough hours. What we do with those hours has all to do with management, how I manage those hours and the time. Trucks sometimes, they have these weighing stations, and you see them on the side of the highway. Those trucks have to pull in there, and they have to evaluate them to make sure that their rig is not overloaded. Sometimes they're carrying more weight than they are allowed to carry. Of course, the more I carry, maybe I get an extra bonus for carrying this extra. But there's a safety factor involved with that. Turning around the bend. So many times a truck, if it's overloaded and they're going at a certain speed, sometimes their trailer can tip over. So when the truck is overloaded, it's not a good thing. Sometimes computers and smartphones. Occasionally you'll get a notice, a pop-up that will come on your computer screen or on your smartphone that says you're low on memory. Well, sometimes it's because you have so many files and so many different things going on, but also sometimes when you turn your computers on and your phone, sometimes it takes so long for them to load. It's because they have so many different programs that's loading, that's set to load when you start up your device. And it just seems like it takes forever and ever. And sometimes even trying to close out something. How frustrating is it to you when you are on your computer and you need to go online, and this little wheel or some mechanism on there signals you that says, in essence, slow down. I'm not going to open until I get ready to open. And that's because you just have so much on there that your computer or your smart device is running slow. Sometimes with people, you can have too much on your mind, too much going through your mind at one time. Sometimes your heart can be overloaded with cares and concerns, and especially if you're a people person, people can bring things to you, their situations, and want you to work it out for them. And they'll tell you, okay, let me know when you come up with a solution. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to get myself some rest, or I'm going to enjoy myself. And you're there trying to figure out their problems, not to mention your own problems that you have to deal with. So again, those are some of the causes, and many more, why a person can be sluggish. Have you just ever been sluggish? You say, man, I'm just tired. It felt like I just went to bed. Sometimes you can get a whole 8 hours of sleep and still wake up just totally exhausted. Maybe because during the night you went to bed with so much on your mind. Whatever those things were. They could be hurts, could be disappointments, could be problems, unresolved issues. Just a conglomerate of things that our minds just hold on to and wrestle with, trying to figure this out, trying to figure that out. And for some reason, you can't even think straight because you just have so many things. It's a juggling act. And unfortunately, whatever you're juggling have strings attached to them. So even if you say, oops, they're still hanging on and they're weighing you down. It's impossible for any device or any person to function at their meant capacity when they are overloaded. True? Of course it is. It's true. I just got through talking about it. If you're doing this juggling act and you have so much, and you're like, but I can't let it go. I have to do this. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call. Did you forget about, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I'm on my way. Well, what do? You're not dropping what you were dealing with. You end up taking those things right along with you, and you sort them as you're en route to do another project. And so unfortunately, we don't operate at or function at the level in which we were meant. Sometimes, as we age, we deal with sicknesses and diseases and things that are awfully inconvenient to us, right? You know what I mean. The older you get, the more inconvenient life becomes. Life doesn't let up just because you're getting older. You say, well, I'm getting wiser. Okay, well, where's the proof? Because if you're still bent over, you're still frustrated, you're still sluggish and unable to function in a manner that you could function, it's an indication that you still have too much on your plate. You're doing too much. You need to slow down. You need to stop. Many years ago, when I was exterminating, many years ago, I was gone every Saturday, and it was wearing me down because I didn't have a full day, a full Saturday of exterminating. I just did it, had 2 or 3, sometimes 1. And so a friend offered to me, and I talked about how beat I was, and my friend said, well, why don't you, instead of going every week, maybe go twice a month. And that way you have 2 Saturdays open to do the things that you want to do, and just schedule them, since you're the one making out your calendar. And I had never thought about that, but once I processed what that friend had suggested to me, I can assure you, I implemented that pronto. And it worked out so much better. It freed me up. It also gave me the opportunity to kind of think a little better. Well, in order to function as you should, some things need to be eliminated from your system, from your schedule. Going back to trucks, if the rig is overloaded, too many things in there, it's a simple process. Eliminate some of those things. Lighten your load, right? You have to know when your load needs to be lightened. Now remember this principle. When the truck is overloaded, sometimes they may forget that their rig is overloaded, and going around a bend, maybe at a higher speed, may cause that rig to drop over, roll over, but not so much with the rig. The driver may be injured. The driver, many drivers have been killed because their rigs were overloaded, and the only thing they had on their mind was get from point A to point B. So you want to make sure that you're doing things in safety. When your computers and smart devices are overloaded, take the time. We all get it on our screen that says time for an update. Well, I know a number of people who did as I once did. I would ignore it. I said, okay, later. I'll do it later. And every time it comes up, it says time for updates or upgrades, I push later. I just didn't have time because I'm trying to get all this stuff done, right? So important that I said, I'll get to that later. But those updates was for the benefit of the computer and for the smart device. And each time I ignore that and say I'll do it later and later, the devices would run more sluggishly. They get slower. I'll be so very frustrated. And I say, I'll just turn it off and turn it back on, reboot, and that will do it. Well, It takes forever to reboot, so sometimes I end up forcing it off. Right, I know. Don't scream at me. Forced to quit, And then when I restarted, now I've got to go through this process. I said, well, I might as well go shopping or go find something to do. And then when I get back, hopefully, the computer or the phone will be up and running, and I can go to what I need to go to. So to fix that, I not only have to get my updates, but it is so important to get rid of the junk files. Sometimes, you're holding on to files, you're saying, oh, well, I'll look at it later, I'll look at it. Instead of dealing with that file and saying, this is junk, I need to get rid of it. Oh, but there's one item, then save the one item, put it where it needs to be, and get rid of all those other things that's taking up all of that precious space on your device. Because the reality is, the time will come when you're going to need to move expeditiously, and you will not be able to do it because of all of the junk that you have on your device. Well, isn't it true with people as well? Sometimes, have you ever tried to hold on to people who weren't trying to hold on to you? Trying to make and force relationships, and people were letting you know that you're not in my circle, you're not in my block, you're not in my square, so get out of my space. And sometimes when you just insist that, no, we have to be together, pardon me, we have to be together, we have to hang out, we have to be buddies, we have to be pals. Listen, people will let you know when a relationship is not healthy. And you know what? You have to pay attention to the signs, my friend. You have to, no matter how badly you may want to be in a relationship or be connected with someone or with some things, you have to read what's on the wall. Don't just read what's on the lines, but read what's in between the lines. People many times can show you better than they can tell you. And I'm going to go on record and say many times they can tell you pretty good, but sometimes we're just not listening. We're like, well, they didn't mean it. They say, well, get away from me. I don't like you. I don't want to be bothered with you. Oh, they didn't mean it. Well, you have to learn how to believe people when they let you know that this is not working for us. But not only should you depend upon that, there ought to be something within you that says, wait a minute, every relationship that I am in, every person that I'm involved with, every circle that I enter, I don't need to be there. Now listen, my friend, that takes wisdom for you to come to terms with where you belong. Know your place, know where you belong, know where you don't belong, no matter how badly you want to be there. If it is not meant for you to be there, wisdom says, get out of there. Don't go. Matter of fact, don't even look over your shoulders and say, oh, but I was sure hoping, I was sure wishing. It's like making a purchase, something you can't afford. You can't afford it, so ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I getting this? Sometimes we buy things. Watch this. I heard, can't think of what's his name. I heard him on the radio. It's not me. But it makes so much sense, and I'm going to adopt it. I'm going to use it. But why do people buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like? Or to impress people that they don't want to be around or should not be around? Does that make any sense? Of course it doesn't. You're going to spend your money, your earned money, for something that you don't need, seeking to impress someone who you don't really care about and who you know don't care about you. And so you make that mistake, you are left with items and materials and things that you didn't need. Now, I got to find a place for it. Cut your losses. Save your money, save your time, save your energy. You know, when I think about this elimination of things, then I think about finally a passage over in the book of Hebrews chapter 12 verses 1 and 2. It reads like this. It says, seeing that we are so compassed, surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, or that encoils itself, wraps around us, and renders us useless. Says, so, lay it aside, the weights and the sins. Now, that's the spiritual side. That spiritually, sometimes we can be so sluggish in our lives. You can know the Lord, you can be saved, you can love Jesus, you can pray, read the Bible, listen to your religious songs and all those things, but you can spiritually be bankrupt. You can be so sluggish and trying to figure out, why is it you ever go to church service and you just can't get nothing out of it? Well, the reality is it's going to always be difficult for any person to get something out of church service and worship when they don't take anything to it. You can't go to church empty-handed, my friend. I see so many times in our churches, empty faces. People come, they just had a look on their face like, okay, I'm here. I sure hope that y'all keep me awake. I hope the choir sing good. I hope the preacher, I hope it's a good one today. I hope you don't keep me too long. They have all these hopes for how the service should be designed, and I want a top notch, and I want, in other words, I want you all to put on a good demonstration that you have practiced and rehearsed so that you can perform well and entertain me. But listen, if you really want good worship, my friend, you don't need to go there empty. You need to go there full. You need to go there taking something with you into that worship service. Take some amens with you. Take some smiles with you. Take some hellos. Take some good mornings. Take some God bless yous when you go into the worship. Don't get there and say, well, they started at 8 o'clock. I'll get there at 8:05. No. You wrong as 18 left shoes on one foot. You need to get there early enough so you can shake some glad hands. You need to get there and see if there's anything that you can do prior to the beginning of the worship service. There may be an extra hand that is needed. Don't wait to get there and expect everything to be in place. Sometimes we can come in with a critical spirit. Oh, this is not done. That's not done. Oh, the lights are not on. Well, guess what? If you get there a half hour earlier, you can be responsible for turning on the lights. And that little debris that was out there in front of the church, you can get there early enough and say, hey, I'm going to do this. But what we're talking about spiritually is, this writer says, you have to, if you want to get the sluggishness out, you have to lay aside those weighty matters and those sinful things, right? Two different things, two different issues. Those physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual weights that's weighing you down and causing you to be sluggish. And then those spiritual things, those things that you have not taken to the Lord in prayer. And I'm here to tell you, when you take those things to the Lord in prayer and you agree to partner with the Lord, I am a living witness that God will lighten your load. He'll help you to get rid of some of those things that's not good for you, those things that are weighing you down, those things that are just utterly rendering you hopeless and helpless. Some of those things are taking you into depression. You're trying to figure out, why am I so depressed? Why am I so, so jacked up? It's because of your load that you're carrying. So you have to learn to drop some things. You have to know when to lighten your load. Do you know when to lighten your load? You have to have courage to lighten your load finally. Yeah, it's not enough to have the conviction and say, well, I know I need to. What good does it do for you to know you need to let some stuff go and you never let it go? What good does it do for you to say, I need to get there earlier, and you don't do anything to get there earlier? You know, the time that you should be there, you're still looking for, what am I going to wear? You know, looking for your car keys. So listen, my friend, what do you need to do in order to lighten your load? No one can determine that for you. You're the one who needs to do. I told you what to do. If your truck is overloaded, take some of that stuff off the truck. If your computers are overloaded, you need to free up some of that space, right? Get rid of some of them files and some of them videos and photos and those kind of things. You can always buy more cloud space, but I look at it this way. Buying more cloud space is like having an extra unit for storage. So now you're paying two notes. You're paying notes the place you live, and you're paying notes on the place, your storage. And of course, those things in storage, how often do you really go there to get anything out of there? If anything, you go and maybe put some more things in there. You're just basically hiding it away. But it's now a dependent. And of course, it's a costly one. So my friend, I'm going to close, but I want to go back to my question. Do you know when to lighten your load? Well, again, you know when to lighten your load. When things get so heavy that you just can't get around, when you can't think straight, when you can't see straight, when things just become a blur to you, and you just feel as though, oh, I just need to go somewhere and lay down and just be out of it. Well, that's not the key. Go ahead and lighten that load, and once you lighten your load, you're going to feel so much better. So be prepared when you lighten your load. Say goodbye to some junk files. Be prepared. Say goodbye to some junk people. Be prepared to say goodbye to some junk bills. Every bill that you're paying, some of those bills are probably junk. So why not get rid of it? Why keep paying interest on the credit card? Pay the credit card off each month. And that way, you won't have to pay the extra, right? So listen, Dr. Winfrey saying I love you. I hope that you have a great rest of today. This is December the 9th. And listen, Christmas is coming. And I want to encourage you as you're out shopping and considering gifts, be sensible, lighten your load. Don't overdo it, as much as possible. And remember, you have to live tomorrow. So live beyond. Don't just live for one day. And then after that day, you're crying and trying to figure out, Lord, what am I going to do now? I am so far in debt. Be good to yourself. Lay aside every weight and the sin. But then there's a piece in there in that passage that says, run, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and now he is sitting on the right hand of the throne of God. That talks about his death, his burial, his resurrection. And one day he's coming back for us. And so we want to be ready. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you so much for joining me today. And my prayer is that you have a good rest of Saturday. And if you can join us tomorrow at the Pioneer Church, we're at 315 East 161st Place. And that is in beautiful South Holland, Illinois. Come and be my special guest. And you can also see us, you can see our live stream at Pioneer MB Church of South Holland. That's going to be at 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. You can find us on Facebook in 2 different spots and on YouTube. Be sure and hit the like buttons, but hit that bell that's going to be in the right-hand corner of your screen at the top, the notification bell, because that way, whenever we are live, you will receive notification and you'll be able to see us. But listen, if you don't see us at one time, you can see us at another time. Alrighty, in the meantime, have a great rest of Saturday. I love you, God loves you, and He has a wonderful plan for your life. So do yourself a favor, lighten your load. And when you lighten your load, don't feel guilty, don't look back, but do as the writer says, run, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Have a great one, and you take care. And that's a wrap. That's a jam. I love it.